What in me is starving to death, and why? So, still reading in Kings, all those up and down, cycle things. For some reason or another, the Syrians had decided they were going to starve out the Samaritans. The Samaritans are it seems like they're in some kind of a city, some kind of a walled type city, or in a locale that's very confined. So the Syrians besieged the city. They got all the way around it, and they're basically going to starve them out. So they cut off all supply routes, all everything. So they're confined in this thing. And there was a famine. Well, of course, there's going to be a famine. There's nothing coming in and out. We're confined to this little bitty spot, and everybody's dying of starvation. And the very next verse says something about 4 outcast leprous men. And this is where it gets really good. These 4 outcasts are sitting talking to one another, and they're like, hey, we're going to die if we sit here. And everybody's already come to that conclusion. But these 4 guys, and leprosy these are outcasts. If you had leprosy back then, like you were an outcast. Right. So these 4 outcasts said, we got nothing to lose. Well, what everybody in the city didn't realize is they didn't have anything to lose either. But these guys maybe had they were at the bottom. Had reached the end of their rope, and they're saying, we got nothing to lose. We can either journey outside the city and get killed by our adversary that's out there cutting off all the supply lines, or we can just sit right here and die. What do you want to do? We're going to get killed either way. Let's die trying. They walked out of there, went out into the city, and come to find out, they ran across a whole, I don't know if you call it a settlement or but it was a place where the Samaritans were. There was enough provision, and it was vacant. They were all gone. There was enough provision there that they fed the whole city. The whole place. There was no more famine, just like that, because these 4 guys decided to do something, decided to get up and do something. It got me thinking a bunch of different things. One of the things that come to mind was that old Cherokee proverb about the wolves. Each one of us has 2 wolves living inside of us. And the Cherokee chief is telling this to his kid. He's like, son, each inside of us there are 2 wolves, one good and one evil. And they struggle mightily. They struggle fiercely every single day. And the kid sits there and thinks a few minutes, and he says, well, Chief, which one wins? And the chief replies, the one you feed. The one you feed, that's the one that wins that day. Paul talks about it, dying to the flesh. Like this is not a singular thing. Like that story is everywhere. And that's true. Whatever you feed, that's what wins. These people up here in Samaria, what was weird is that there were things that were holding them back, that were keeping them from going one way or the other. And I wrote down, is a good part, or is the good part of you starving to death? What in me is starving to death? And why? Well, is it because of my adversary? Like, is there somebody surrounding my thing, cutting off my supply lines, starving me to death? Is it because of someone else? The king decided, hey, we don't go outside the walls. Mm-hmm. No. But is it because of you? Yes. That's the huge thing of personal, extreme ownership. In Jocko's book, personal accountability is one of our core values here at Signmaster. Like, it is your responsibility and your fault. These 4 guys, like, they reached it. Mm-hmm. They got, and it's sad that a lot of times we have to get all the way to the bottom. We even say that. Once that person is going to keep going and going and going until they reach the bottom. And then once there's nowhere else to go, then you do go up. Then you do assume responsibility. Then you do make a change. Then you do something. These guys just either got to the bottom, and then they said, hey, we're going to do something now. We're going to do something. I'm going to feed the wolf. I'm going to feed the good wolf. If it costs me death, so be it. But then they turned out, and it's not always like that. A lot of times we think we have adversaries, and we think we have people standing in our way. We have fears, and we have things that have come into our lives that we have hard-coded up here as these are shut doors. This is not happening for me. We starve ourselves from not feeding the right wolf, you know. And I know I harp on it all the time about surrounding yourself with the right people and, you know, taking initiative to do the right thing, actually deciding to step out there and then making a plan and following through and all that. But it's really simply, which wolf am I feeding? And it's my responsibility to feed the thing.